And now I want to talk about another assistant coach who I believe is really in position to have his career take off in a truly outstanding way. And his name is Joe Gillespie. He is Texas Christian's defensive coordinator. Now, let's start with what he did against Texas, a team that they were underdogs by 7 points to, and whom they need to go down and face in front of 104,000 Longhorn fans on the 40 acres in prime time. All he did was hold the Texas Longhorns to their fewest amount of total yards in the Big Ten era, 199. Texas had 199 total yards in this game, the fewest they had since 1996. The next thing that he and his defense did was hold Bijan Robinson to the fewest amount of rushing yards he's had in his career at Texas, 29 on 12 carries. Ridiculous. And then TCU's defense held Texas to its lowest offensive output since UCLA beat Texas 66-3 in 1997. This is also the game for which famous torch lawyer Joe Gillespie, who I think has more than one statue on the University of Texas campus, had given his name to the field and given a lot of money for that right, and looked around, found the athletic director, and said, hey, how much money to take my name off the damn field? That's how mad he was, losing to UCLA 66-3 on his name day, okay? Now, Texas Christian, as I alluded to earlier in the week, has really, really got up to play Texas basically since 2012. They're 5-1 against the Longhorns in Austin, 8-3 overall since joining the Big 12 in 2012, which leads me into my favorite Gary Patterson part of the story that is Texas, because nobody liked to beat on Texas the way that Gary Patterson liked to beat on Texas, who's also a Texas assistant. 2015, he was asked on game day, what is the challenge for your defense against the University of Texas offense? To which Gary Patterson thought about it for a second and then said into a hot mic, we beaten better with less. Now, you might think that the Texas Longhorns took that personally. Well, if they did, it sure as hell did not show that day. They got beat down 50-7 by Texas Christian. Okay? Fort Worth putting on, saying, hey, in these stockyards, we will throw these horseshoes at your skull and we will get after you. And that's who Joe Gillespie is. So when I find out that the guy who had been coordinating my alma mater's defense at the University of Tulsa had accepted a job to be TCU's defensive coordinator for Sonny Dykes, I said, oh, hell, y'all are about to get the full dose here, okay? Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory on Joe Gillespie, and then we're going to talk about what that defense does well, because, frankly, it's fun, okay? So, in 2019, I'm in graduate school. I'm trying to earn my PhD in English, and my buddy Jerry Ostrowski, also a TU alumnus, got up from his chair at the local radio station to take another job working at the University of Tulsa. And he told our bosses that I needed my own show. They said, RJ has his own show. And they said, yeah, that's Sunday mornings at church, like he does it at 10 a.m. He needs the Monday through Friday 9 to 11 slot. And they took him at his word. So I was given the opportunity to have my first radio show coming into that summer where I frankly needed to quit going to school to pursue this career. And one of the things I was so worried about is winning the trust of the high school coaches and the college coaches in my area. Because frankly, it's a local sports talk show and the University of Tulsa is the local team. Outside of Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, that's what you talk about. So when Joe Gillespie is becoming the defensive coordinator, I'm also getting my job. He had been elevated from linebacker coach to DC because Oklahoma legend and Bill Young, no relation, had retired. And I wanted to make it my business to know what his defense was going to be because he was changing it from a four-man front to a three-man front. And I said, hey, coach, we've had a 3-3 stack here before. It ain't really that much fun. I mean, Todd Graham tried to run it. It was fine, but I don't think it's going to be any good. To which Joe Gillespie really was kind to me. He took 20 minutes out to explain to me how his defense is going to work. RJ, what I'm going to need here, I'm going to need a couple of guys that can line up at 4'9", squeeze down on a tight end, can run on the back end, give me some tackles for loss. After that, we're going to fill. We're going to give you a phantom look every single time. We're going to mess up your box count because you're going to see 6 guys in the box, and you're going to say, hey, we got numbers with 7, and I'm going to fool you because I got an extra safety over here that's going to come downhill from 12 yards deep, and he's going to slap your running back right in the mouth. And I said, Coach, I believe it when I see it. Well, doggone it. He turned out Zaven Collins out of Hominy, Oklahoma, as a 6'9" who could do anything. Squeeze down on that tight end, run in the back end, get you interceptions, return them for touchdowns. He turned Jackson Player, a zero technique, into a monster because he could occupy 2 offensive linemen at one time. He said, we're going to have 2 5 techniques, and then I'm going to squeeze one over to a 3 so we can bring down a 4th rusher, and we're going to disguise everything that we do. And I said, goodness me, how do I not know about this man until he gets to the University of Tulsa? I'll tell you how. Because until he came to the University of Tulsa, he had coached his entire career, played his entire career in the state of Texas. So this man comes up playing at Stephenville High School, graduating in 1990. It's a 4-year letterman at Angelo State. But at that time, Art Briles had just become head coach at Stephenville, and they hadn't made the playoffs for about 35 years, back to 37 years, from 1952 to 1989. Stephenville did not make the Texas high school playoffs. Art Briles went out there, said, we're going to run 3, 4, and 5 wide. We're going to run about 15 or 20 plays, but we're going to have options off of all of those plays, and we're going to run it up. And by the time that he's done at Stephenville, they had won the state championship in 1993, 1994, 1998, 1999. Okay? They'd set national records for offense in a year with over 8,600 yards. Joe Gillespie had joined that staff in the mid-90s and was watching what Art Briles was able to do to everybody else and said, damn it, I got to come up with a way to stop that. Also on that squad, Philip Montgomery, head coach at the University of Tulsa, being a running back coach and offensive coordinator. He eventually goes with Briles to Houston and then to Baylor. But my man Joe Gillespie stays at Stephenville. And he picks right up where his mentor in Art Briles and mentor in Mike Copeland had left off. By the time that he had finished his 7 seasons as the head coach at Stephenville, he had won 72 games and a state championship as a head coach. When his buddy Philip Montgomery said, hey, I need you to come up to Tulsa and I need you to coach linebackers. That man packed up his family, moved to Tulsa, spent 3 years coaching backers with a thick Texas drawl, kind of man that says coach, right? And turned those dudes out. Then he got an opportunity to take over the defense, said, I'm going to run the one I know how to run. Because we just don't have Chase Young or Nick Bosa at the edge. What we do have is a bunch of skinny, fast dudes that know how to play ball. So I'm going to populate the defense with safeties that love to hit people, with outside linebackers that are skinny enough to stand up and run backward, but big enough to shirk off a left tackle, get underneath him with a swim move, and get to the quarterback. Okay. By the time we all figure out what kind of dude Joe Gillespie is, Stephenville, it turned out, Kevin Cobb, Jevin Sneed, and Jared Stidham, but we hadn't been talking about the defense. So he gets this job at TCU this year, and I'm hearing people going, he's running 3-3-5. We're a 4-2-5 team. I said, no, you're a 4-2-5 team with Gary Patterson. I watched his 3-3-5 work at the University of Tulsa. I watched him win TU games it had no business winning because they just kept other people from scoring. And a lot of that was, frankly, because he made the game simple for his players. He made it easy. All you do is read the keys and go. We play fast, we play hard. Now he is back near home doing an outstanding job where he's going to rival Jim Knowles and Sharon Moore and Matt Weiss and Jesse Minter for the Broyles Award after having been a Broyles Award finalist at the University of Tulsa. Okay? I'm telling you, Joe Gillespie is going to get an opportunity. It's just whether or not he's going to want to take it because it's a man that is pure Texan, loves the state of Texas, loves to fish and hunt, had a daughter that went to the University of Tulsa, and that's about as far as it gets, right? Everybody else is right there around home. Sonny Dykes got to see what this offense was about, what this defense was about at SMU and said, goodness me, I'm going to go get that guy if I can. And now we're talking about Texas Christian controlling its own destiny to get into the college football playoff for the first time in school history. We're talking about Texas Christian being 10-0 with a first-year head coach, the first head coach in Big 12 history to do that in Sonny Dykes. And I can't tell you how thrilled I am to know a man like Joe Gillespie is getting his moment against Steve Sarkisian. Mr. I beat you with, I won the national championship with Mac Jones. Mr. I had Najee Harris. I had Devontae Smith. I had Tua Tagovailoa. Look, if you can go up against him and you can frustrate Quinn Ewers, the number 1 overall recruit in the 2022 class, into going 17-39 from 171 with pick, there ain't a whole hell of a lot you can't do. Now, I think it's going to happen for him the way that it happened for Dave Aranda, right? You're going to get to the playoff, and then you're going to have to tell people what you're not going to do or that you don't want to go anywhere. But the more I look at his career and the more I see the players that come to play for him and how they talk about him, the better I feel about that dude. Tex Christian, you struck gold. I don't know if you know that or not. You're probably focusing on Sonny and Garrett Riley, and for good reason. Focusing on Max Duggan, Kendre Miller, and Quentin Johnston. But I would really be interested to find out what those players are still having to say about their first-year coordinator and what he says about them, because I tell you, you're probably going to find some jewels. Speaking of jewels, producer Tyler found some video that is outstanding, and to do it, we got to go into Division III powerhouse Mount Union, stunning Baldwin Wallace on this Hail Mary. Now, I'm describing this as you're watching it, and if you have an opportunity, please go to the YouTube channel to see it if you're listening on the podcast, because this is remarkable, okay? Run that back, because Mount Union quarterback Braxton Plunk threw a 48-yard Hail Mary TD pass to Wayne Ruby Jr. as time expired to give Mount Union a 23-21 victory and its 33rd Ohio Athletic Conference championship. Plunk's pass bounced off the helmet of a Baldwin Wallace cornerback, poor guy, and into Ruby's hands just inside the 2-yard line, and Ruby stumbled into the end zone. It's really a fantastic play. It's happenstance. It's up there with what App State was able to do earlier this year in their Hail Mary, and you could see the joy from these Mountain Union players as they piled onto their man, Wayne Ruby, in the end zone. It's fantastic. It's got the kind of crowd that you would expect at a D3 game, but I'm glad somebody was there with some camera to watch number 6 catch this ball and to see these Mountain Union players come and celebrate with him. Also adding here, if you're paying attention, you know that Mountain Union's also turned out some outstanding coaches. Like Larry Karras was just doing that. Matt Campbell, Alex Grinch, Jason Candle. That's 3 off the top of my head. That's the head coach at Toledo, the head coach at Iowa State, and the defense coordinator at USC, all played at Mountain Union. And I'm sure that when they see this clip, because I'm sure it was sent to them, they feel some kind of way about it too. Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.